I'm Ann Brown, and I'm from El Paso, Texas. So back in 1988, when I graduated from the University of Texas at Austin, I moved to New York. And that was a huge move for me, coming from the West Texas small town of El Paso. At the time, I had some confusion. I had had one experience with a woman, but I still wasn't sure, where I was, where I landed, in that world. This one day, after I'd been here about 6 months or so, I was on the weekend with a friend of mine, walking on the Upper West Side and on the street. And one day this man walked by me, about 6'4", 6'5", handsome Italian man, looking like he was from Italy, but he was American. We started talking, struck up a conversation, and he had a casserole dish in his hand, like a Corningware dish. And I remember thinking that was odd, kind of. He was walking on the sidewalk, and I happened to just say something to him randomly. I just said, well, who'd you cook lunch for? And he said, well, this is for my girlfriend. Well, what's your name? And I gave him my name, and he said, can I get your phone number? And I gave him my work number. My friend and I went along, and we thought that was a little strange but interesting, and we laughed about it. And I got to work, and the next day I had a phone call from him. And his name was Biagio, and that's what I'll lead with on him. And he told me he was a painter on the Upper West Side. And so he told me to meet him up on 72nd, and we'd go to his apartment for lunch. I go to meet him, and he was finishing painting, and he says, come on up to the apartment. And in the apartment, we walk, it was a walk up, we go up there, and there's paintings all over the walls. So he goes to get wine, he makes us a little pasta, and he tells me about the paintings. He says, well, he asked me about them. He says, what do you think about the difference between one side of the walls and the other side? And I looked around, and I said, well, there's a softer side on this one side. And he said, well, that's my feminine side. And he goes, and the other side's my masculine side. And I said, this is interesting, to myself. And I said to him, wow, that's interesting. Tell me more. And he said, well, I really feel more like a woman than a man. And again, I said to myself, this is interesting, and this is a little odd, but this is also interesting, and I'm intrigued. And I said, well, are you gay? And he said, I'm not gay, I like women. And I said, so does that make you a lesbian? And he said, well, I guess it does. And I said, well, I'm a lesbian. And I said, I like girls, and I haven't been able to say that to anybody. We finished talking, and he said, I'll take you out sometime. We'll go to one of the lesbian bars, because that's where I go to meet women. And I said, fantastic. And so he took me to the Cubbyhole, which was the original Cubbyhole on, which is now Henrietta Hudson's. And so it's like 1988 and 89. He met me dressed as a man, as Biagio, and we go in. And I remember I grabbed him and kind of hugged him, and I kissed him, and we danced. And I felt more comfortable with him in that moment because I was getting comfortable with the scene. I see him again another time, and he invites me over to his apartment for dinner, and he says, can I dress up for you as Gina? Gina is my woman persona, and he came out with his hair blown out and full-on makeup and lingerie, and he said, call me Gina. And he sat there, we spoke, and then he wanted to kind of become intimate with me a little bit. And when that started to happen, I think I accepted it for a minute, because I was like wanting to accept him as now her, or as now she, as now Gina. And then I kind of stopped her and said, I really like you as a person. I said, but I'm not attracted to you this way. I'm more attracted to you as a man. I'd rather have a authentic woman or natural woman, as I knew to call it at the time. And so he was a little hurt at first, but he said, I understand. And he said, I said, listen, I'm just getting used to this whole thing for myself, and you're the first person I met that has another side to themselves. And I said, let's be friends. And so he accepted that now in this moment as she. So he took me to a club one night called the Octagon Club, which was a big club on near the Javits Center at the time. And he took me out, and I was like, that'll be great, we'll go, he'll go. He said, I'll introduce you to somebody. So now he was on the other side. He wasn't trying to hit on me anymore. He was really being my friend. And so we go to the club. I was nervous. There was a lot of beautiful women there that night. It was a lesbian night. And he loved lesbians, so this was his place to be, too. And he was gorgeous, very handsome, like I said, man, and a beautiful woman as well. And so we were out this night, and he pointed out a girl for me. He said, she's beautiful. He goes, go talk to her. And I said, I'm nervous. And so he was like pushing me on to go talk to her. And I did. I go up to meet her, and I just said, what's your story? you know, why are you here? And she said, well, why are you here? What's your story? And I said, well, I ended up coming here with this random guy that I met recently who's become my friend, and he brought me here. So maybe I'm supposed to meet you. And she goes, that's really random, because a strange girl I met, strange to her, meaning a woman she met randomly on a bike trail out in Long Island, crashed into her bike. They both crashed on the ground, and she said, why don't you come with me to this club? And she apparently liked her, but she brought her kind of as a friend too. So two people that night brought us somewhere so we could come out. And so for me, after that moment, we meet, and Biagio meets her, and we connected, she and I, and she eventually became my first girlfriend. And so he as Biagio and she as Gina, I guess combined for me, was a wonderful person that entreed me into my life as I live now, which is my life I was meant to live. And I appreciate, I'm gonna get teary-eyed because it was a wonderful person. Like, if I didn't meet her, you know, I don't know if I would have struggled a lot longer, you know, to find myself. And it was an interesting entree into the world for me. It also gave me insight onto transgender people. And that they should be accepted, you know, like anybody else. And they're beautiful people, just like, we're all the same. And it was just such an interesting way to come out, I feel. And I'm very proud of that. And I wish I could find her now. But I've looked recently. I did see her a few years after that. She was working at the Met. I thought it was the MoMA, but it was the Met as a security. Of course, you know, ensconced with, you know, around artwork, because he was a painter and artist. And that was the last time I saw him. But one of those times before that, he had said he wanted to transition, and he was nervous and scared. And at that point, I think I realized it wasn't just for dress up or cross-dressing. That at that point, I knew it was, you know, very real for him to become a woman. So maybe Gina's out there, and I just need to find Gina today.